Hey guys, welcome back to Nexus Core. I'm Richard, and today I'm going to be opening up the Trial Deck 2 Toshiki Kai Kagero Trial Deck for V-Series, consisting of the Dragonic Overlord variant. I guess that's what you could call it. Where are those scissors from that Blaster Blade video? There they are. Alright, we're going to cut this open. I'm going to cut myself here. Cool. Cool. I think I opened it. Yeah, close enough. Alright, slide this boy out. Alright, so I'm gonna go over the whole thing again just in case you haven't seen the other video. I did do a video on opening the Aichi trial deck, so you guys can check that out as well. So same thing, going into the first guide, you get the complete introduction to how to play the game and the zones, representations of markers, etc. Steps of battle, all the rules you guys will need to know for stuff later. I'll talk about this again. Everything's gonna feel repetitive. The playmat is really cool in my opinion. So on the back, you get the whole thing where it talks about your deck, combos, the important key pieces, etc. Advertising the other trial deck you can pick up, and Q4 set. So the main thing I really liked about these new playmats is, yes, as expected. So the playmats before would always be, the circle was always red. So of course this one is still red. But in the, I'll pull it up right now. The one for the Aichi Sendo trial deck had the playmat with the blue circle. So kind of keeping the color scheme. So now you have a red playmat, red Vanguard circle for your Kagero deck, red themed. Your rearguard circles are now yellow. They used to be green colored. And your Guardian Circle used to be colored with purple, is now colored green, so that's kind of cool, in my opinion, that the yellow and the green kind of match with the color scheme they use in the anime, and the red kind of matches with the whole, like, Persona character color scheme. So that's pretty cool, in my opinion, the fact that they made the playmats that way. Other cool thing is the fact that these trial decks now kind of snap open. When you open them, you just gotta fold it up. I don't know if that's always been a thing, but I feel like this is new, so I'm really excited for that. So here we already got it. The first thing you see is, of course, the foiled version of Dragonic Overlord. Oh, I could slide this one off. I couldn't slide the other one off. Okay, so these slide off, in case you watched the other video. So starting off, we have 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord. So one copy, of course, being the one copy Triple R foiled, another being Alt Art foiled, really nice foiling there, and the other 2 just being common. So already you get your 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord. These seem to be pretty stable for upcoming Kagero decks. You're probably going to be running 4 copies no matter what Kagero deck you're going to be playing. Really good in premium, considering the fact that it's Overlord, and Overlord has a lot of great G support that I was left with. Also considering it has the original Overlord name, it can serve as for a cross ride for Dragonic Overlord DN, gives you a force gift, has a pretty decent effect, and can be used as a rearguard beat stick for that extra 10k power. Honestly, this card is going to be really good considering if you want to play Kagero, definitely pick up this trial deck because you're just going to be able to get right into the deck from the get-go. So highly recommend you pick up this if you're really interested in Kagero. So art on this is really nice. I like this. It's kind of similar to the old Overlord art, except the background was white instead of black. This one's also still really nice. It's kind of still got the blazing, flaming, fiery dragon theme going on there. So you get playset of this card. Moving on, we got 4 copies of Crested Dragon. Crested Dragon is similar to Star Drive Dragon. Crested Dragon skills: when it attacks the Vanguard, rearguard circle, based on the number, if your opponent's rearguards are 3 or less, it gains 5k. So it has a rearguard skill, also has a force gift, so if you cannot ride Overlord, you can still ride this and gain your force gift, essentially not trying to minus you for misriding. So appreciate the fact that Bushy was nice enough to give us a play set of 8 grade 3s that all give you force gifts. Really nice. So next up, the other trial deck, same thing, kind of spooked me. The rest of the foils of other copies are going to be in the back. So there's a playset of this, playset of this. So I'm going to pull them off right now. So we have 4 copies of Dragon Armored Knight. So you get one copy of Dragon Armored Knight that's foiled, which is pretty cool. I feel like this is also pretty cool considering the fact that a lot of people are going to be running Dragon Armored Knight. You do have the option of running other grade 2s. I know there's a grade 2, I forgot the name of it, but it's the one where you counterblast and you move it to the soul to retire an opponent's rear guard. Personally, I wouldn't run that card. I would rather run this, being that this gains more power rather than doing board control, since Nahalem does that enough for you. Bar and Nahalem do that enough for you. The skill of this card is when this attacks, if your opponent has 3 or less rear guards, gains 5k. In the Blaster Blade video, I talked, or the Aichi Sendo trial deck video, technically, I talked about the importance of these cards that are 10k and gain 5k, because you put an 8k booster behind them, and the column will then swing for 23k. The importance of this is because your opponent's Vanguard grade 3 will be at 13k base. If they get a damage trigger, they'll be at 23. So being able to match that number with the 23k column with the 8k boost is could be significant. Also, if you get triggers, it'll be a 33k column. So these numbers are going to be what we call magic numbers, which force your opponent to have throw down extra guard compared to having like a skill that's just retiring. But if depending on your playstyle or however you want to play your deck, you can do that too. Personal preference, I would prefer to run Dragon Armor Knight. Some people might also prefer to run 10k vanillas for the extra shield. It's up to you. I really like this card. I love the art of the card. Really nice, decent skill, comes foiled. I'd run it. So you get full play set of that just by buying this card. You're already good to go. Got your play set. Next up, one of my favorite cards in this whole game is Dragon Knight Nahalem. Has come back to us, still with that 10k base. That's all that matters. So he doesn't come foiled. He's all commoned out, but it's okay. He's still around. Dragon Knight Nahalem's skill is that when he's placed on rearguard circle, you can counterblast 1 and choose one of your opponent's rearguards in the back row. So you can just choose. It doesn't have to be same column. Bar is same column. You just call it and you choose one of your opponent's cards in the back row, and they retire it, and Nahalem gains 5k. So Nahalem does gain power too, so same thing as I talked before about being able to swing for those numbers. It is on place, but it can still act as like a menace laser or a cheaper Berserk Lord. Basically do what Kagero's always been doing. So Nahalem, you should for sure run 4 copies of Nahalem. Super cheap cost, you just play it, count +1, retire a back row unit. Back row units are pretty important, especially because you can't swing at them. So being able to snipe units is always really important in this game. Nahalem's a good card. Run it. And then next, of course, we have 3 copies of Embodiment of Shield Lam. So in the Aichi trial deck, we got 4 copies of this grade 2. So I feel like the reason that they didn't really give it to the Kagero deck was just considering that you're probably not going to need it as much. Nahalem and Dragon Armor Knight are pretty important. Lam kind of just serves as a shield fodder, a ride target to keep the 10k base. It kind of doesn't really do as much. Also, just because product placement, Galatine is a really important card in Aichi's history as a character throughout the show, so they gave us 4 copies of it. Really interesting they wouldn't give us 4 copies of Jaron in the Blaster deck, considering how it's just as important as Dragon Armor Knight. But at the same time, well, it's okay. If you really need to get an extra copy, get a common off TCG Player, pay 50 or 90 cents, and it's okay. So 10k vanilla, choose to run it if you want. It's up to you. So, other thing I'll just mention, 10k vanillas, they have the 10,000 power shield now, whereas the other grade 2s only with skills only have 5,000. So if you want to choose to run 10k vanillas to have the extra shield, that's an option for you as well. Moving on to the grade 1s, we have 4 copies of our Perfect Guard, which is Guard Griffin. This is really funny considering Guard Griffin is an old card, which should just be like when you place it, you had to like counterblast 1 to gain 5k shield. So it used to be a defensive card back in the day too. So 7k base, Perfect Guard skill. When this is placed in guard circle, discard 1, choose one of your units that cannot be hit in the battle. Of course, as you may or may not know, this will be replaced by Wyvern Guard Bree. The draw trigger, they'll be coming in V, BTL1, Unite, Q4. So, but still nice. Still want to say that it's really nice that Bushiroad is being able to give players who are starting the game access to perfect guards immediately just by buying a trial deck. Where, I come from a time back in my day, players would have to perfect guards were essentially a luxury. If you had and could afford to buy perfect guards or throw them in your deck, you could. As the game kind of power creeped its way to G era, perfect guards became necessities, so they started including them in trial decks at 2 copies, meaning you had to buy 2 trial decks to get your full playset. Nice that we can now have our full playset in trial decks and not having to buy legend decks or 2 copies of trial decks. Next for grade 1s, we have 3 copies of Dragon Monk Gojo. So Dragon Monk Gojo's skill is that when it boosts, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this gets 3k. So this is nice for having early game, you want to boost your 10k rear guard, 21k base against your opponent's 10k base. Pretty decent. As far as the numbers work, the only way that this would actually hit to make a magic number, this would have to be boosting at 12k to make the column 23, if I'm doing math right. It's really up to about how you want to place this card, but its main purpose seems to be that it's early game. It's also an 8k base, 10k shield. All the grade 1s in this game now have 10k shield. It's going to be replaced, essentially. Aramo is going to be a great card in the next set. It's a triple R, which is going to be harder for players to get. So keep an eye out for Aramo. Definitely should be running playsets of those. So Dragon Monk Gojo, everyone. And next up, we've got 4 copies. We've got the foiled copy that was in the back. 4 copies of Embodiment of Armored Bar. So Bar is back again. He still has the 8k base. Bar's skill is that when it's placed, you counter blast 1 and soul blast 1, and you choose your opponent's grade 2 or less in the same column as this unit and retire it. So it's Menace Laser, has to be grade 2 or less and in the same, and you have to pay a soul blast extra. And then afterwards, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, this gets 5k. So I will answer a very basic question that I feel like someone will ask one day. If I play Bar, and then after the retire we have the same number of rear guards, and then I play another Bar, and then all of a sudden I have more rear guards, do they both gain the 5k? The answer is no. The second one would, because it gained the power, is continuing the skill. After you resolved this skill, because you had the same number of rear guards, it does not gain the power. I don't know why I felt like I had to say that, but I just had a feeling someone was going to ask. So yeah, Bar's a good card. You should definitely run it in your eventual meta Kagero deck that you plan on building. So this is a really great deck for people that want to... sorry, that's from the IG deck. Kind of slipped in there. People that want to play a dragon-themed deck and want to start playing this game, this is a great deck to invest into. Even if you don't plan on updating it seriously or spending money on really expensive cards, this is still a pretty decent deck to play around with. Last but not least, we got 3 copies of 6k grade 1 cards. 6k base grade 1 cards are not ideal for decks. If you really want to plan on updating its deck, first thing you probably want to look into is replacing these cards. The skill is not terrible though. It's if your opponent has 4 or more rear guards, you counter blast 1 and you put this into your soul. And you choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and then one of your rear guards and gains 10k. So this is essentially trying to thin out the field. It costs a counter blast, which kind of sucks since there's not real much of a counter charge engine. Gives a unit 10k, so this is important because you are playing an Overlord deck. The theme of the deck is to have a powerful Vanguard that swings for a really high number, and after it hits, you want to be able to use the restand skill, because most of the time when you're playing Overlord, you swing, it hits, your opponent gets a defensive trigger, and then paying the cost to restand doesn't seem warranted enough, especially if your opponent is able to guard the second attack. So this card will be able to help you make that play a lot easier. So that seems to be what the card's intent is. The other thing that this thing does, it can power rear guards as well if you want to push for game. So decent card, but will be replaced eventually. Okay, new starter is Lizard Runner Undu. So same as the old Kai trial deck starter. When rode upon, draw. Goodbye, Forerunners. So Tar is back, embodiment of Spear Tar. You could use this with the alley thing with the new bar. No one's gonna do that, but it's just the fact that it exists. Triggers now gain 10,000 power. Triggers also have 15 or 5 to 5, 15, and 20 shield versus just 5 and 10. So that's really cool. So we got 4 copies of Tar for crits. And then we also have 4 copies of Raksha. So Raksha was the Kagero crit that came in the original trial deck. This one, however, is a vanilla. The art's really cool. I like that art a lot. So same thing as Tar. Cool art. Just personal preference. If you want to choose your trigger lineup and you're not running 8 crits, if you choose to run more Tars than Raksha, I will judge you because Scalies. I'm joking. Please don't quote me on that. 4 copies of Red Gem Carbuncle. So interesting they didn't choose to do Dragon Dancer Monica, but you know, I like a little change up. Red Gem Carbuncle. Red Gem Carbuncle used to be draw trigger vanilla as well, so cool addition. Gives 10k power, only has 5k shield, so the draw trigger still kept that consistency. Yeah. So really cool is that the trial deck will also give you 8 crits and 4 draws versus doing the rainbows of 4 stand, 4 draw, 4 crit, 4 heal. So now players don't have to go out of their way and try and get rid of their stands. They're already given the 8 crits that they wanted to begin with. Last but not least, Dragon Monk Genjo for the main deck. So bringing back an oldie. Honestly, don't think there could have been another replacement for this. Genjo is just the aesthetic of the heal trigger. Really nice looking art. Heal triggers also now give 20 shield. So still kind of feels like you're playing G Guardians where you get that extra shield bonus, makes your grade 3 Vanguard at a 33k base total. Please do not choose to run heal triggers with skills over these new heal triggers, simply because of this being that extra 5,000 power you're going to get from triggering this card. So both defensively and offensively, you want to be able to take advantage of these triggers as much as possible. And I 100% believe that being able to do your bind to and counter charge or soul charge really does not warrant losing that extra 5k that you could be getting by playing this card. So, and you can still use it to pay the cost for G Guardians. So in the end, just run these heal triggers, please. All right. Lastly, we got a deck comes with 3 force gifts. So you get 2 force gifts that say when acquired, you put this on a van or rear, and the unit on that circle gets 10,000 during your turn. And then the final copy of your 3 copies of force gifts is one of Dragonic Overlord. Same effect. But you got a cool looking Overlord gift, which is pretty neat looking. So now this is available if you want to fill up your whole gift slot with a bunch of these. There's a there's a Blaster Blade one as well, so you can kind of mix and match. Future decks will, of course, might have more units on gifts. I know there's the one with the characters from the show on them as well. So gifts can either be plain and vanilla, or you can make them, you know, spicy. That's basically it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought about this deck. Let me know if you're looking forward to standard format, and if you're excited to build your Kagero deck. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm Richard, and I'll see you all next time.